Hello you guys, it's me again. I felt about myself since when I saw it Evolution of Apes, which is a nice documentary, of course the alternate version of Ants, but I saw something that was really crazy, an alternate version of the Prince of Egypt. Which is kind of funny because Ants and the Prince of Egypt are made by DreamWorks. I went to look at my old movie collection and I found a VHS tape of the Prince of Egypt. When I play the movie starts normally as usual, but when one of the workers was singing Deliver Us, when they said faster they actually went faster, they went so fast. Moses' mother was trying to get through so much that her kids ran so fast to the Nile. Moses' mother's nose began to grow from a flat to a hook. Then her kids noticed that and said, "Mom, your nose is hooked." She said, "Oh okay," which then she started to say, "Google gaga boo gaga," her nose went back to normal. Which Moses was sent away and the rest was played normally until they got to the Queen of Egypt. Then the slaves were fixing the palace faster than ever before, which then jumps to Moses and Remedy's chariot race. They start cursing at each other like crazy and I was like, wait a minute, this movie is rated PG. How did this happen? As the construction was really crazy that Moses destroyed everything as usual in the movie. They got in trouble with the Pharaoh and the Pharaoh told them of how he was disappointed and that Moses is a meow. Did you know then the Pharaoh said one little slip will make the weak link peel. He told Ray seems that he's grounded for a week. The rest of the film played normally when Remedies and Moses talked to each other until when it showed that the liquid that Moses was going to put onto the two guys who were downstairs, who talked to Ra the sun god, when you drop it down instead of water splash. It was a bomb explosion, which they may be questioned, why did Moses made a bomb explosion? Things went well with both Moses and Remedies. Which then the gestures were going to do magic tricks by saying the power of Roar, shocked and scared, because if they don't say the power of Roar, please save the power of Ra. Then Moses' sister Marian was like, hooray, my brother came here, you figure out how you are right. And then her husband was like, a Marian, I don't think that he doesn't know. Moses like, I'm him for me slave, no touch me. It was weird that he said him, but whatever, he did say that I don't know you. Next is that Marian and her husband said that they were getting steroids. Which I was like, steroids. How did steroids go into the Prince of Egypt? Then Marian showed up a cow statue and it was like, oh no. Then he ran it back home and the song All I Ever Wanted played normally. After the song was over and when the dream sequence happened, he saw how the Pharaoh told the soldiers to go kill all the babies because of so much population, which is that was stupid of their decision in the movie that I hate about it. Anyway, enough about my opinion and myself, let's get back to the movie. After Moses was shocked of what was going on, the Pharaoh said, the Hebrews grew to moon, thus sacrifices had to be made. Moses said, tell me you didn't do this, and the Pharaoh said, sometimes. Moses hugged the Pharaoh, but the crazy part that scared me was that the Pharaoh didn't say they were only slaves, the part was removed, it was just silence, and that Moses felt sad. So then he asked his mom and I made to do, and then he burped. The queen sings the rest of All I Ever Wanted, which then it cuts to the next day and Remedies was in charge of the thing and the slaves were like moving, and one of the guys said faster and all the slaves went faster rapidly until Moses accidentally pushed the slave off of it. They were mistreated. Marian and her husband, that slave, it was died. Afterwards Moses ran away through the desert. Which was different because usually Remedies stopped him and tell him to stay. He ran away, but instead Moses just ran away. Then montage of Moses walking through the desert. However, there is a screaming cowboy that was in the background, which this doesn't make any sense. How did a cowboy get into ancient Egypt? I don't know. Moses went to drink water with the animals, but then he realized it tasted horrible, so he went to drink it for a while. He fell down as usual in the movie. The kids tried to help him up until Zipporah, hey, you're getting the man out of the well. Then she pulled him up and she saw Moses and then dropped him in the well, and she looked at him like she was in a thug life. One of the kids said, and this is why Papa said that she's not going to get married. Later at the feast, Moses was about to eat the food and one of the girls said not yet, and he started eating the fruit and he said that I haven't done anything in my life. I have done nothing. So then the leader of the place was like, you don't know the thread of honor shining through the mountain's mighty face which the stones form the base. Then next the group played some music, and then Moses went and did the shepherd stuff as with the lambs. Zipporah looked at him suspicious of him because of what happened. So then he talked to her dad so he can marry her, and then afterwards, but when he went to discover God and got confronted with Moses, God said for him that he was Abraham, which then Moses and God had a Western style standoff, but the winner was God. Then it cuts to Moses at the palace. Remedies took over and they were surprised of how it's been so long since he seen him, and Moses told the receipts to free his people, and he said sure. He had the slaves free, but it turns out it was a not so. Then he showed how the power could of God will show how the stick will come to life, but I didn't do anything, which was a little bit odd because in the movie it did turn into it like a snake. Then the henchmen that worked with Remedies were doing the playing with the big boys now song, except they said the power of roar instead of the power of ra. After the song was over, Moses talked to Remember She's about letting his people go, and he said that he won't allow to do that because he didn't think that what his dad did a long time ago is actually his right doing. Let me see said that they're only slaves and that he can't do anything about it, and Moses was like, don't you see is really wrong that you're treating these people. Serenity told them to leave, and then Moses later strike blood in the Nile and everyone said it was blood, but then he told his attention to check and they decided to secretly put powder instead of actually putting blood in there. After that he checked it and he was like, it's punch. So then after that Remedies told Moses that's over, the battle is over, and then Moses said no it's not, and then everyone else was like to hear what he just said, and then Moses said no. So then later on God sent the plagues. The plagues destroyed everything as they got through, and everything got destroyed, well, more like the cattle on the I wish it was the fields, not really like the town. Which then Remedy said that he will not be the weak link and that they won't let the slaves leave, and then he told him, what about your son? And he was like, I will be finished with your people to the death. I was so scared of what Remedies said that I hide in the covers of my bed. Which then later that night the white smoky cloud went through and they checked on the doors. If they're closed they won't go, and they end up being dead. Later on Moses checked on Remedies and that the son is dead. Remedies told Moses that you're right, but you can't get away with this, and then after Moses leave Remedies with his son to moan. After that Moses went to his sister Marian and then looked at her and sang When You Believed, and then later on to the song Moses' wife Zipporah started cussing throughout the song, which to me I'm like, that's not how the song goes. Which then Marian said, can you not cuss, this is a family movie. Remember I started laughing so hard because it was a family movie. It's a breaking of the fourth wall moment, and I love breaking the fourth wall. They got to the water to go between them, and Moses lifted the water from the Red Sea. Everyone went to the other side. The guards and Remedies were trying to go through the path, and then they end up hearing ethanol snap from the gauntlet. Which I don't know how Thanes got into the movie, but he made the water go down instead of Moses and everybody drowned from it. After that Moses said goodbye brother because he didn't hear Ramsey said bye, because it turns out of Remedies was actually dead. Which I was surprised that Remedies is dead in this one instead of alive, but then everybody was at the other side and they were happy. They're free and Moses was. It cuts to the famous ending. I was sad that Moses was carrying the 10 Commandments. After that you hear the words deliver us from the mom, and that was the end of the movie. I was really surprised that it's a little more darker than the actual movie itself, yet, and I got so scared that I just thought of how I should really try to find a Bob's Burgers movie that I'm going to watch. So I'll see you there the next time I find another scary thing and bizarre stuff.